Maybe because some Americans had, this group of Americans that predicted that Nigeria was going to disintegrate within that period. So whether people were working to ensure that their prediction manifests, I don't know. But there was a significant show of interest. American
Secretary of State?
Secretary of State don't visit the country at the eve of elections, traditionally, because they want to keep away, even if they're interested, they don't want to be seen as directly manipulating the electoral process. But before the elections, America, the State House, sent for some, northern governors to have a meeting in the US to discuss the Nigerian election. And of course, Nigerian election, we have North and South divide, Christian-Muslim divide. They invited the northern governors that are Muslims. The Christians were not invited to the US. And the Secretary of State came directly into the country to have various meetings. I don't see as the president of Nigeria for me to engage with America for a fight. It was not going to be necessary. It will affect my citizens and so on. So, but we saw the significant external interest, and you saw what was happening in the country. I wouldn't want to go further than this. Maybe when I publish my biography, I'll go a little more than this. There are certain things that were happening. So, of course, you will know the results long time before it will be announced, even before it will be brought to the center for that you already know. And that is why these days, even the last election in Ghana, the vice president congratulated Mahama, even before, because you know their results and so on. So he knew where they were going, and I know that the country was tense. I know, maybe because of the statements made by Buhari himself when he said both the baboon and the dog will be soaked in blood. So young people were kind of mobilized to the level of frenzy to cause maximum violence if people don't get what they want. People were announcing, okay, they will run a parallel government and so on. But those doesn't bother me. But since I was the president of the country, and I also know that even in the Niger Delta, people were also ready to fight back, even though there are not many. But I know they could cause maximum damage, because if the Niger Delta people are going to fight, instead of fight, they will not fight human beings, they will fight oil installations. And it will cause maximum damage to the country, which I don't think it was. So from within that period, a lot of things were going through my head. They process so many things per second. And until you are into that kind of a situation, then you know how many things get through your brain every second. And I reflected back. As a president, I worked with a very strong economic team. People like Ngozi, who was the finance minister and the coordinating minister of the economy, Aganga, who was the trade and investment minister, the Dr. who was doing very well in agriculture. So we have done very well. We encourage people to come and invest in the country. And Nigeria was the #1 country for foreign direct investment in Africa then. And our economy was. So when I have encouraged people, in most cases when Aganga make arrangements, when we travel, I used to address investors before I hand over to him. So my face was seen as the face driving the economy of the country. And I looked through that if we have maximum crisis, all these people that have encouraged to come and invest in Nigeria, they will lose their money and so on. Besides the fact that people will die. In fact, I had in a good authority how so many houses in Abuja would have been burnt if things have gone a particular way. But even if I had won the election genuinely, yes, I had no problem. But since they manipulated the process and they are announcing figures that I was the president of the country, I'm not the one to doubt the result of INEC that appointed the people. So it will look silly for me because I appointed the people. So I said, well, it is my fault. So I will not want the country and investors to suffer.
Wow.
So the best thing to do was for me to announce the result, not to allow INEC to announce the result. Because if I allow INEC to announce the result, the over-jubilation, they could do havoc to some parts. So while waiting, I announced the results. That was why I made that phone call. It was to announce the result, even though they were still collating. But I said, let me announce the result. And I remember that day in the sitting room, I was there. I know Minister Ngozi was there. Some ministers were there. Some of my aides were there. And people were talking. The waitings are going, the different options. Yes. But I was just listening because as the head of state then, I was more interested in the security of the country. I was not too much interested about the fate of Jonathan after the election. That it didn't bother me that much. But how will Nigeria still be peaceful until the next government take over? So I didn't participate in the conversation that much. But people were saying different things. People were saying different things, but I was listening. Then at the time, I just left them. Then I just moved into my study, which is opens to the other part of the city room. I didn't tell anybody. I just stood up, went there. Then I called Buhari. So when I came back, they were still talking. Then I said, gentlemen and young ladies, look, it's over. I've congratulated Buhari.
Wow.
They said, have you congratulated? I said, yes. So the talking should end. So one of my ministers then was there, Chidoka Osita. He was the Minister of Aviation then. And I said, okay, you've congratulated Buhari. I said, yes. So, okay, can I tweet it? I said, okay, go on. And so he was the person who tweeted it. So immediately he tweeted it, it went viral.
Wow.
Then, of course, so I announced the result. And it was better for me that I took the responsibility of announcing the result to make sure that nobody should do excessive celebration.